level of excitement in getting to play in front of the 12s on Sunday?
I'm super excited to be able to play in front of our fans, obviously. It'll be super cool. Obviously, we haven't had that chance in a while. It was awesome going back to Indy because there were so many people there that were wearing Seahawks jerseys. So that was pretty cool. And when we won the game, I got to run around the field. So that was pretty cool. It felt like we were at home. It felt like we were in London again or something too at the same time. So just because it seems so distant, we haven't had that. But to be back in Lumen Field to play at home, I know for the guys who haven't had that experience, guys like Jamal, guys like Gerald's played here, but on the other end of it, just different players, they haven't had that experience. For our rookies, for our second-year players. So it's just great to, that we can all be together again, the blue and green, and I know it matters to us all, and to be able to do this and perform at the highest level.
The numbers from last week. What stands out to you about the balance of the offense, the run pass, and just the number of passes thrown?
I think the most important thing is us being extremely efficient in every category. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. Not just efficient, but effective. It's a difference, I think, in a way. Efficiency is good. You're making your plays, you're moving the ball and all that. But I think also, too, each play is extremely effective. We're really getting the ball into the end zone. We're finding ways to score in different ways. I think the guys are so confident in what we're doing and how we're doing it. It feels really good. I know we didn't play preseason. I think everybody was worried we didn't play preseason what it's going to be like, but the year before we didn't either. So I think that we have a lot of extremely knowledgeable guys. I think about the guys up front. I think about how knowledgeable Dwayne Brown is, how confident he is in his approach every day. D. Lou to go from right guard, played center last year for a hot game, and then went to left guard now, and is battling at left guard, doing a great job. Kyle stepping in there, doing such an extremely good job in there for us, and he's so intelligent as well. Big Gabe Jackson, I mean, he's one of the best guards in the game. To be able to get him on our football team, the tenacity that he plays with, the energy, and then Shell. I mean, he had one of his best games, and he just continues to rise to the occasion. So love that about those guys, and they're so smart up front. So it helps. I think from the playmaker standpoint, the guys who get to touch the ball and score points, there's so much versatility there. And it's really challenging for a defense because you don't know who to guard. You don't know where I'm going to go, what I'm going to decide or this or that, because I have so much confidence in each guy. And that's a great feeling as a quarterback. I think it's a great feeling as an offense as a whole that we believe in each other. We believe in what we can do and how we can do it. And we want to be super efficient. We want to be effective. We want to be able to play fast, but also slow it down if we need to, and this and that. So every time we touch the ball, we can score, and that's a good thing.
You had a chance to get your 100th career win on Sunday. You would be the third fastest player to get to that mark. What would it mean? You talk a lot about legacy. For you to join Tom Brady and Joe Montana as one of the three quarterbacks to do that, get under 150 starts.
Every day I wake up, I tell people, they ask me, well, what's your job? Like, what can you explain to me what your job is, as a quarterback? Somebody who may not know football as much, or somebody who just wants to know deeper. I say I have one simple job. That's to help the Seattle Seahawks win. And it's a job that I love. It's a blessing to be able to do it. Every day I wake up, I strap on my cleats, and I come to work. And whether it's in the off season, early in the mornings, late at night, if it's during the season, obviously, that's what I'm built to do. And so to be in the same category as a Tom Brady or Joe Montana in my first 10 years, it's a blessing. Haven't done it yet. Got to go win and find a way. And so for me, the biggest thing is just keep going, keep winning. That's what the game's about. Anything else is not in my mindset. So every day I wake up, it's to win, it's to help our team win and provide and have great habits in our approach and how we're going to do things and have at the highest level possible. I've been fortunate to be able to play some against the greatest quarterbacks, obviously Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. Didn't get to play against Joe, but just when you think about it, those guys I've really respected along the way and how they've done it and how they've been so successful over the years. And hopefully I can keep going.
Pete was telling us about a basketball game he had with you your rookie year, kind of right before the season, and how he was kind of telling you about it. The journey's going to start now, and all we're going to get through, and all of that. Do you have a memory of that game at all, and what happened?
Well, I think he's talking about the day he named me starter. I think that's what he's talking about. Yeah. So, Yeah, so Coach Carroll, happy birthday to him yesterday, by the way. It's crazy. He's in the 70 range now. But anyway, so back in 2012 when I was fighting for the starting job and coming here every morning, trying to get have my opportunity and everything else. I never forget, Coach. It was after the Chiefs preseason game. Got to start that game and play pretty good and everything else, and then. Coach calls me out. He has one of the trainers or one of the equipment guys come get me, and he's shooting outside. We used to have a hoop outside, Mo's office kind of area, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. So I go outside. He's like, hey, you want to play basketball? I'm like, not really, And so he's like, let's 3-point contest. I'm like, all right. So anyways. He's like, I want to tell you something, man. You're going to be our franchise quarterback. You're going to be the guy. You're going to be the starter. And my eyes lit up. I was just thinking about my dad and thinking about all the hard work. Thinking about all the hard work. Early morning, my dad hitting me grounders. I was thinking about the early mornings. I used to go into my high school gym back in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. And we had this lady at church back when I was young, Cincinnati, Ohio. She was like 100 years old almost. And she used to bust up in the church. She said, I feel good this morning. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I feel good this morning. And that was like my mentality. That's always been my mentality, man. Like every day, I'm going to bring everything I have. I'm going to leave it all out there. And I think attitude's everything, And so for me, just to be able to get the opportunity to be a part of this team in my rookie year and to be able to play right away and to be playing, fighting for my 100th win and regular season win, and then also to just play a lot of football games, and it's been a lot of fun, and you can't take it for granted. It's just every day it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. I think I've said this before to you guys, but a lifestyle can't be random. Every day it's got to be consistent. There's a plan. There's a thought process, and I think the same thing in terms of longevity and thought process around that too. So, but yeah, I remember that game vividly. He hit a couple threes. I'm not sure who won. I can't remember who won.
2 out of 3.
Yeah, something like that.
Did you know what that was about when you got summoned out there?
I had a feeling. I mean, it was either a 50-50. He was either going to tell me I was going to start or I'm not going to start. He's going to either break my heart or But I had a feeling it was going to be a good thing. I had put the work in, and age is just a number. I always say experience is only necessary for those who are unqualified. I was qualified, and just because of the work, And so God's granted me the opportunity to do it, and I took advantage of every moment and still do to this day.
When you and Pete were looking for your next offensive coordinator early this offseason, how did Shane get on your radar, and what did you know about Shane before you started talking to him?
There's a few guys that we were looking at. We had a handful of guys for sure that were great. I had always been curious, of what the Rams were doing with the up-tempo, especially. It was very unique, it stood out. Obviously we've done a lot of great things in our offensive schemes and all the touchdowns, all the plays and all the wins. So you want to keep a lot of that too. But I was really curious that there was a differentiation with what Shane was doing in terms of the tempo, and obviously Sean McVay and all those guys. And so I think that his experience, I was, when John Schneider and Pete and I talked about, who the guys could possibly be, that was one of the things that stood out, and I think for me, that was something that, definitely mattered in the sense of, what can we be, how can we be slightly different? What can we add? How can we continue to challenge? And that was really cool to me. Obviously, Shane had been, also experience is pretty cool too. He had been at Patriots. He'd been somewhere with championships and experience around that. He'd been at Washington with Sean, Kyle Shanahan, those guys. Obviously being in the Rams too as well. So there was a lot of knowledge there. And I think whenever you can have that knowledge and depth of the game, it's always helpful.
What did you hear from him, or what do you felt like you needed to hear from him in maybe your early conversations with Shane?
Well, the first thing is always confidence. You gotta have great confidence. When you're calling the game, you gotta have that. And so when we got to talk, I could feel that. I could feel the knowledge and all that. Obviously, I know the game too, so it's, it's like you guys knowing how to write well. It's like it just it. So for me, it was one of those things that we definitely clicked right away. And then second part was. We had some fun. We went through some. I had him. Hey, let's call me a game. Call a game for me. Let's go through some series. And that was interesting because his mind clicked in. I wanted to see how he would react. We're on the Zoom call, so hey, like, call several series for me. Or, hey, we're down by 7. Here we go, first quarter, boom, 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 and then we just went through that. And I wanted to hear him call it, and that was really that was really rewarding too, to be able to hear him process. But at the same time, I was playing the game myself, and so we were going back and forth around that. Hey, I'm going to go to this right here off that. Okay, I like that. So that type of engagement was really good. And then he's a Pacific Northwest guy. I think that mattered to him. It seemed like it really mattered to him. We stayed in touch as we were going through the process of interviewing several guys. All of them were great. But you could tell, he really wanted the opportunity, and he could be a great coach in a big way. Obviously offensive coordinator, but also head coach, that kind of mind. And so it was a great thing.
I'm not sure Tennessee's week 1 numbers are indicative of how good that team is. What does Janoris Jenkins bring?
Well, their whole defense, is extremely talented. They do a great scheme. Shane Bowen, their defensive coordinator. They got obviously Coach Vrabel, who's one of the best to do it, and especially as a player and a coach. They propose a lot of challenges, and we have to be really, really on our stuff. We got to be really understanding what they're trying to do, the different personnel that they bring in, the different fronts, and all that. And we got to be efficient and effective, like I talked about earlier. But I think the biggest thing is it's going to come down to making plays. Obviously you got to win your matchups. You got to win when they do go man and zone. We got to be able to strike them and make plays and get conversions and and just continue to stay on the field. I think that's the biggest thing. They do such a good job on the other end, on the offensive end, of running the ball and extending out the clock and doing those kind of things too. And then they got playmakers. At the running back position, obviously Tannehill's a great quarterback, and then you have the receivers they have too. So we got to be able to play great football. This is a playoff game. This is what it is in that sense. Great two great teams going after it, and we have a lot of respect for how tough they are and how they play. And so we got to be our best.
How did you end up going on the Peyton and Eli thing Monday night? Did you enjoy that experience of kind of doing all that?
Yeah, it was great. They asked me to hop on with them, for the fourth quarter, and I have a pretty good relationship with Peyton and got to know Eli over the years. So it was a blast. Obviously to be on there with Peyton and Eli, 2 Hall of Famers. I think that I have such respect for their family and who they are. I go back to when I was in 10th grade, going down to Louisiana, being at the camp and being there with my dad. He had flown down there and drove all the way down there, and just spending a night in a Motel 6, and we were right next to the laundry room, and the laundry room, and I was making all this noise the whole night, and didn't really sleep much because I was just so wide awake, ready to learn as much as I could from Peyton, and learn as much as I could from Eli. And they were my quarterback coaches. They had taken the kind of like the top 12 guys or so and kind of coached them, and were kind of around them. So it was a great experience, being around Peyton and Eli. And so I go back to that because Peyton is, especially he's always served, and he's always given back to me. I remember my rookie Pro Bowl being there, and we were sitting on our little stool, and it was the first meeting, and we were kind of just talking, and I sat in the front of the room, for the big conference, the first day. And Peyton's there early. I get there early, and it's kind of just us. And he comes over to me, and he starts talking to me. He says, "Never take this for granted. Don't take this for granted. Always sit in the front." Which is something my dad always told me, my mom always told me. But when you hear Peyton Manning telling it to you, don't be like the rest. And then there's so many other conversations about ball and things that we, always talked about and still talk about to this day. I've learned so much, and so. I've been surrounded, I'll say this, I've been surrounded around some amazing people, some amazing players, some amazing quarterbacks of our time, of the history of football. I get to spend time with Drew Brees this offseason, and how much knowledge I get from just him and that. Guys like Peyton Manning. I've been around Joe Montana, as you mentioned him earlier. It's been around guys like that. So for me, I'm grateful Tom I've gotten to know over the years too. And so I'm just grateful that I've experienced that, and I've taken every morsel of knowledge that I can possibly get, and I try to use it for myself. And then now, going into my 10th year, all I want to do is give back, give back the game. That's respecting the game. That's respecting the process. That's the part that I love to do the most. And so, I got a lot of high regard. So to be able to talk on Monday Night Football and to talk about those, the game and be an analyst in a way from our vantage point is something that I've always loved doing, obviously because I love the game, and to be on there with guys like Peyton and Eli who love the game just as much is always fun. So it was a blast. It was a great time. I mean, it couldn't have been any better, couldn't have been any more fun.
Russ, we saw the news about Trevor Moawad. Obviously, you were very close to him. How does that hit you?
Yeah, this may be tough for me to talk about, but I think about the first time I met Trevor. I was a kid coming from Wisconsin, and I was knocking on the doors of IMG trying to get in. I was ready to get ready for training, and you had all these great players down there and everything else, and he's the first guy I meet. And we go into his office, and me and him sit down, and he goes, what I hear about you? And I said, what's that, Trev? He goes, I hear you're going to be great. I said, yeah, I'm going to be great. He goes, you know why? I said, I know why. He goes, and I said, do you know why? I asked him, and he goes, yeah, I know why. Your mind. Your mind. That's what's going to separate Russell Wilson. That's what we're going to work on. And so from that moment, ever since, he's been my best friend. We spent so much time together, through the highest of the highest moments to some of the lowest moments, to the moments of winning the Super Bowl, to the moment not winning it, unfortunately. He's always been there for me. He's a guy who always gave me perspective and gave me knowledge and insight. And when we didn't win, I went down to San Diego, and he called me that night or the next morning, and after the Super Bowl we didn't win, and he said, "How you doing?" I said, "The sun still comes up in the morning, Trev. Sun still comes up in the morning." And he said back to me, he said, "You're a winner. You're a winner. I believe in Russell Wilson. I believe in number 3. What are we going to do about it?" And so I said, "I'm ready. When we starting? I'm ready right now." So I hopped on a plane, flew down to San Diego, and he kind of moved in with me for about a month just to keep everybody away and just to have everything move efficiently and everything else. And got to work that day, that next morning. And the one thing that we talked about in those moments, in that moment in particular, as we sat in the kitchen, a little circle table in San Diego, he said to me, that, we have a choice to make. I said, "I've already made it." He said, "You've already made it?" I said, "I've already made it. I'm not going to let this moment affect me for the rest of my career. Not me. They got the wrong one." He said, "Good. That's what I thought you were going to say." And so when I think about my relationship with Trevor, I think about a man who was humble. I think about a man who always served, who always gave back, who was always dedicated to working and helping everyone. And everybody he helped, it seemed that they always got better. They always got better. He was a winner. He was a guy who always gave back and knew how to win championships and knew how to help people win. And not just on the field, but in their personal lives too. And there's a few things that Trevor always mentioned to me that I will always remember, and I still will always use and always think about when I think about him. He said a few things to me: simple wins. Simple wins. And we don't have to make our lives more chaotic than they have to be. It's like one of the second things he used to always say to me is, you don't have to be sick to get better. Everybody waits to be sick to get better. Why don't we improve our minds? Why don't we work at it? Why don't we think about it? Why don't we try to help others and always constantly get better? One of the other things he used to always say to me too, that always hit me, and I really believe this, is that too many people, it's not that they aim too high. is that they aim too low and miss and hit. Actually, he said, yeah, they aim too low and hit. And when I think about that, I think about, having big goals and having big dreams and all the things I've ever wanted to do. We aligned in that sense. And he was a winner. He was a giant, mental giant, in such a cool way. And what I realize about life is that it's always going to change. The one thing I've noticed in my 10 years of playing in the National Football League, whether it's professionally, relationally, spiritually, it always changes. And we have a choice to make. We have a choice to make. And how we're going to go about that, and how we're going to think about that, and how we're going to love through it all, and how we're going to forgive through it all, and how we're going to continue to win through it all. And so we have a choice to make. And I think that a lot of people have been going through so much. I think about all the people that have gone through COVID, have lost people and family members and loved ones. All the people who've experienced cancer like Trevor had. He hit it, in the sense that he just didn't want to affect other people. He didn't want to make people feel bad for him or sorry for him, I told Trevor, man, people love you, man, And so I think about, we've all gone through different circumstances, and we'll all go through challenges and changes and things. But the one thing that Trevor used to always say to me, he'd say, Russ, a few things. Number one, I believe in Russell Wilson. I believe in 3. And number 2, the best is ahead. And so when I think about what I want to do and part of my life mission and what I really want to be able to impact, and I've been doing it, over the past several years, but with Limitless Minds and what we've been doing in terms of, that was a passion thing that Trevor really cared about, and my brother Harry, the CEO, and DJ. Last night I was praying as he was passed away and everything else. So I was talking to C and my brother and them were down there, and I couldn't go obviously, but it was that, man, like people need us to be able to help their mindset. And what Trevor always talked about was neutrality, being neutral, being a neutral thinker, that there's things going to be at the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows, but to be able to remain consistent through it all and be able to keep your mind clear and know what you say and controlling your language and how you go about life and attitudes, everything, and all those different things. It's important to me, that I can help, kids all over the country, all over the world, and how they think and what their mindset's like. So that's my mission, and so anybody who wants to join me, I'm on it, and so I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to doing it with my brother and DJ and to be able to go on that journey. But what I'll say about Trev, though, the last thing I'll say is that, Trev, I thank you, I thank you. I wish I could talk to you again, but, I'll see you again. I'll see you again. The best is ahead. Go Hawks.
Doing all right, man. How you doing?
So, did the game feel slowed down for you in the way you probably thought it would at the start of year two?
Yeah. I would probably say due to the preparation. We've been preparing for Indy for maybe about 2-3 weeks. You know, we had the bye week on the last week of preseason, so we had a good amount of time to, get prepared, for what they like to do, and also get prepared on the calls that we went in with. And so I felt comfortable when I was out there. A lot more settled this time than last year.
What kind of tips about preparation have you picked up being with Bobby for a year and change?
A lot, man. Just watching film, taking care of the body, a lot of details within that, as far as taking care of the body and how to watch film, what to look for, what certain teams like to do with different packages and personnels and all these things that go into it. I've learned a lot from Bobby, still learning. We got up here this morning, watched a little bit of film, and so just trying to see how far I can take that and keep progressing.
How does that compare with the way you were watching film in college?
It doesn't. I didn't watch half the film that I watch now in college. In college, you just wake up, go play football, but it's a lot more detailed on this level. You got to know what's going on around you. You got to know what every guy is doing, every guy next to you is doing, and also the opponent.
That defense looked explosive last week. Have you considered how much more that will be the case when you play in front of the home fans, right? Because the noise can give you an extra jump.
Yeah. I was proud of the way our defense came out week one, in a away game. Their fans were going crazy, and we just came out hot. We made a couple errors here and there, but overall we played really good defense. And to come back home this week, it's going to be exciting. This is the first real chance to see what the 12s is really about for me, and then a lot of other guys that's, making their debuts. And so I'm just excited to see where our defense can take the next step. How can we get better from week 1 to week 2?
I know your teammates have talked about what it's like to play in front of the 12s. How have they been described?
Man, crazy, loud, obnoxious. And as a football player, especially a defensive football player, that's what you love. You love when the crowd going crazy. Everybody's yelling and throwing flags or whatever. Man, I love that energy. It just gets us going as players. And so I'm excited to see what that's about.
You got to play the whole game basically as well. I mean, you're not coming off the field situationally or whatever. What was that sort of like for you?
It was cool. It was definitely, I think, the most snaps I've played since college. And so, got a little winded here and there, but as the season gets on, I'll get in much better game shape and I'll be ready to go.
Coach Carroll was commenting yesterday about Bobby. He's been around here 10 years now, and he has great start to the season, 13 tackles, but he set the bar so high that no one's really talking about that. It's just kind of a ho-hum performance for Bobby. Just curious, what, as a young linebacker, what are you picking up from him? And we talk about film study, but how important has he been for you in your career, your development? I assume he's obviously not a guy you're taking for granted the time you get to spend with him.
Yeah, he's been huge, like the big brother in a sense, and he's where I'm trying to get to, and so I tell people all the time, I'd be a fool to not, gain knowledge from him and try to pick up things, to help myself to get to, the place I want to get. And so, every day I just, we talk about anything, whether it's life or whether it's football, I'm just trying to pick it up. People that know Bobby, he's a great person on and off the field. And so it's a lot to learn from him. And so for me, I just try to, stay humbled and pick up what I can while we have this time together right now.
Do you wear him out with questions, or you kind of stay away and let him come to you?
I don't ask a lot of questions. I sit back and observe. Most of the time, he just come up to me. I won't even have to ask anything. He just give me the knowledge, and so that's what I appreciate about him too. And especially when I was first coming in, a little starstruck, a little scared to, kind of open my mouth. He kind of, approached me in that way. So I appreciate that.
What impresses you about the safety duo you play with, Jamal and Fondre?
They love to tackle, and they love football. That's the big two things for me. I love when a safety comes downhill and just hits. That's what you're gonna get out of Q and Jamal, and the energy that Jamal brings. When you guys sit around and watch some practice, you see it every day out of Jamal. And I think that's just big for our defense, let alone our whole team. And so, those two guys behind us communicating is just like a safety blanket for me, knowing I got those two behind me.
Like I said, we see Jamal on the practice field, we see the energy there. What does that look like behind the scenes too? Is that a guy who's, just is that contagious behind the scenes as well?
Oh yeah, what you see on camera, what you see on the field is Jamal all the time. Always on 10, always high energy guy. It's not fake, it's real energy. And so you got to love a guy like that, that's always in a good mood, always smiling, always happy. So just lucky to, get to play with him.
You tackle too many people as big as Derrick Henry?
Nah, it's a big guy. Excited for the matchup. I think it's a good opportunity to see where we are as a defense as far as run defense. That team likes to run the ball a lot. They got a good running game. So I'm excited for the opportunity to go out there and play ball.
Anything else, guys?
Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks, Jordan.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. This is my first time. Here we go.
Well, what's the last week or so been like for you, getting to play Sunday and then finding out this week, you get out of the 53-man roster?
It's been amazing. It's all I could ask for, truly, just given the opportunity to be out here and throw on the Seahawks uniform at Lucas Oil Stadium for the home opener, or for the season opener. It was truly unbelievable, and just such a great team win. So truly thrilled to be a part of it.
Did you have enough time to scramble folks from the Chicago area down for the game?
Yeah. My brother and his roommates, they drove from Chicago, and then my grandparents, aunt and uncle, they drove down from Michigan. So scrambled together a good crew, and they were able to support me, which was awesome.
Went around Saturday begging for teammates tickets, or how did you get all that arranged?
No, my family did it all themselves, so I didn't have anything to do with that. They just they were willing to make the drive and buy the tickets as well, so they supported me greatly.
Can you summarize how your last year has gone? You go into last year, you hadn't started at Army for 3 years, you were a cadet graduating from West Point, and now you're an NFL player.
Yeah, it's certainly been a wild ride. I did everything I could at West Point in terms of academics in the military, and obviously as a part of the football program there. And when it was my turn to shine, when it was my time to shine, senior year, I put my best foot forward, and I did everything I could to learn our defense and to build a good relationship with the guys around me. Establish leadership in the locker room. Being a senior, it was my last year. And to build a relationship with our coaches, on the new defensive coaches that we had last year, and kind of took things from there. And as the season progressed, I realized the success that I was having got noticed, and the NFL was definitely a possibility. So I worked really hard to do everything that I could leading up to the draft to get drafted. That didn't happen. Fell to the 8th round, and I'm thankful that there was a lot of mutual interest between myself and the Seattle Seahawks. So now I'm standing up here on a podium and feel very honored.
Is that the first time you had considered playing in the NFL was last year?
It's really been since I was about 6 years old. I've always wanted to play in the NFL, but the first time that I realized it was truly going to be a possibility was definitely this past year. I always kept it in the back of my head. It was something that I think everyone, dreams about while they're still playing football. And so I certainly wasn't going to let it go. If the opportunity was there, I just kind of had to create the opportunity for myself, and I really had 1 year to do it. So just thankful the way this past year played out, and it was a testament to all the hard work that was put in throughout the past years, and blessed that it was able to show off and be out here now.
As a player, what do you attribute to that huge jump, it just clicking like that after the first 3 years, not getting many chances? Was it all about opportunity, or were there just certain things that just really you elevated in your game that helped you have that success?
I think it's a good mix of both. The opportunity's got to be there, and I worked hard just to get the opportunity, and we got a change in coaching staff at Army, and they really liked what they saw. It was a little bit of a new defense, so there was a really good role for me to fill. And on top of that, I definitely elevated my game, and I think that's a huge credit to our linebacker coach at Army. He's now the safeties coach, Sheil Wood, outstanding coach. Our defensive coordinator, Nate Woody, both just great coaches, and I learned so much about preparing for the game and kind of taking my game to the next level because of them. And I still carry that with me while I'm here today, and I'm going to continue with that the rest of my career, just because that really, this past year, I've definitely elevated my game and become a better player. And you know, you just kind of got to find things that help you do that, and that's gonna keep me having success and moving forward in the right direction.
How did you find out on Monday or Tuesday or whenever that they were signing you?
I got a call from my agent first, and then came into the building. Got a call from like the scouting staff. Came into the building, and then you know, got to talk to all the coaches, John Schneider and everybody up in the offices. So that was certainly a good feeling.
Was training camp frustrating? I mean, so you got off to a good start, then got hurt and didn't play the first 2 games and all that. What was all that like for you?
Yeah, it was frustrating. Certainly, you know, a curveball for me. It was about day 4 of training camp, and you know, my leg just, I couldn't really go full speed, and that was not going to help me being out there, not being able to go full speed. And it was just one of those things. It was a soft tissue injury that I've never had before, and something that I just kind of had to work around and attack things day by day as I would have normally in training camp. But you know, being sidelined and not being able to truly show what I can do, it was really frustrating. So you know, being given the opportunity to go out there for the last preseason game, I was more than excited for that.
It seems like the rules have changed a bit over the last few years, but can you help us understand like what your obligations are, what your commitments are to the Army now?
Yeah, so the policy, it's changed. Last year, it was really put into place with Elijah Riley and Cole Christensen. Those are 2 guys that graduated before me at Army. So I'll be able to, there's a lot of flexibility, which is great for both parties. And I'm going to do everything that I can, you know, to represent the military, to represent the Seahawks, and, you know, really make it a good, just a good reason, you know, to have military academy graduates playing professional sports, because there's so much an impact, and there's a huge connection, especially between the military and football, leadership, just so many things that I can name. But the policy that's in place right now, it allows us to play for as long as our careers, you know, will go, and afterwards either serve 5 years on active duty or some type of civilian service. 5 years of service, though.
So like in the off season, you don't have to do anything Army-wise, or you can just put
No, yeah. So right now, during our playing careers, we're in the inactive ready reserves, and you know, we don't have any true military obligation besides, you know, keep ourselves right as professionals and conduct ourselves in the right way for not only the Seahawks organization but the military as well. But other than that, yeah, it's changed, because I know when Keenan Reynolds was here and people that have come out of military academies in the past, it was different. They did have obligations in the off season, but right now that's not the case.
If you weren't playing in the NFL, what would you be doing with the Army right now?
I'd be down in Fort Benning, Georgia, going to a basic officer leadership course as an infantry officer.
You heard from your second lieutenant friends about this is pretty good 2LT pay and
Yeah, no, I talk to all my guys all the time, and I ask them a lot about how things are going for them. I've got buddies all over the place, because not everyone does infantry. You know, there's 17 different branches coming out of West Point that you can choose. So I've got friends all over the place doing all different types of things. A lot of them starting their careers as officers. And all, I mean, you know, it's definitely a different lifestyle. I'm still playing football. Those guys are, you know, we text each other when the Army's played these past 2 weeks, and it's kind of different because I'm still in football mode, and they're obviously beginning their military careers, and you know, they're really excited for that though. So, you know, I'm excited for them. They're excited for me. It's pretty cool.
when they waived you, they always say, well, we want to bring you back on the practice squad, but those 24 hours, whether you're going to get claimed, another organization that you'd have to start over in, can you describe that anxiety of the 24 hours and then the relief I would probably guess that you got claimed back here?
Yeah, that was an interesting 24 hours, and I've seen it, in Hard Knocks and just talking to different people about how the NFL works, and that's kind of how things go at the end of training camp. That was something I was. That's why I was so frustrated during training camp, was that I wasn't really able to showcase everything I had. I was out with an injury, so I wasn't able to do as much as I had wanted, and when it came time to waive, the end of the roster, you kind of realize, okay, I'm in that boat. Don't really know how things will go, especially being on waivers and having other teams, with the possibility to claim you. I felt like I played well in the last preseason game, so there was a possibility for that, and I really didn't know what was going to happen. Things were definitely up in the air, but thankfully the Seahawks wanted to bring me back to practice squad, and I was certainly happy about that.
You alluded to it. Do you feel like succeeding in getting into the NFL can help Army football recruiting and can open up doors to quality of football player that maybe didn't think that was an option?
I think it certainly does. Yeah, it helps. It helps with Army football. It helps with all different types of the academies and for their recruiting purposes. And I think it helps a lot out here too, just in the community, and especially because out here we have Fort Lewis down near Tacoma. So I haven't had the opportunity yet to go down there, but I do have some former Army football players and good friends that are down there, and I know at some point throughout the season I'm going to make my way down there, and they say it would be a great impact. I'd have a great impact on the soldiers. I don't know if you guys are aware, we were able to do the MVP huddle at Lumen Field within the past month, and that's merging veterans and players, and that was just a great opportunity to be there and be present. There were a lot of veterans there. Tyler Ott was with me, Luke Wilson, who played here, he was there as well, and that was a great opportunity to kind of connect on the military side of things with football.
Given everything that you just said, how much more special is it to run out on the field in front of the home fans representing the Seahawks and everything that you just talked about?
Oh, it's so special. And before I left West Point, there was a TAC NCO there, and he was from out here. He's from Washington, and he was like, "Dude, I'm the biggest Seahawks fan ever. Can you sign this? Can you sign that?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I haven't really done anything yet." He was really excited for me, and he's texted me just about every week since I've been out here. And on top of that, he's like, "Look, man, everybody at Fort Lewis, they're going to be so happy. They're going to watch you. You're going to have eyes on you in terms of the military." And just to know that, the guys that I do know, former Army football brothers that are at Fort Lewis, they're very excited for me, and they talk to their soldiers about me. So just to know that I have that impact, and there's a military presence out here, it's really cool, and I'm very thankful to be able to represent a lot more than just myself.
Coach Norton said they're playing you at middle linebacker right now. How similar is that to what you did at Army?
It's pretty similar. Yeah, there's a Mike and a Will spot, and the defense itself is a little different. I think with every defense and every different type of defensive coordinator, you get some different nuances, and but I've been able to come in, and I think being out here for rookie minicamp and OTAs really helped a lot. And Coach Norton and the staff are unbelievable. Such a great staff, and as you can tell in the win against the Colts, our defense dominated. So there's similarities, there's differences, but overall it's pretty easy to work through it. When you have great people surrounding you.
Anything else, guys?
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.